Charles II of England by Ethan Chen, Michael Yang, and Ojas Malwankar. Charles II was born at St. James Palace on May 29, 1630.
In 1646, when Charles was young, his father fought the Puritans and the Parliament in the English Civil War. Charles fled first to the Isles of Sicily, then to Jersey, and then finally to France. In 1648, Charles was captured, but he escaped, but then later he was beheaded in 1649. After a while, Charles returns to England to be crowned. On February 6, 1649, Charles II was crowned King of England. Charles commands General Montrose to go to the Orkney Islands and threaten the Scots with an invasion. Later, Montrose invades Scotland because he thinks that Charles would compromise. Montrose gets executed, which makes Charles sign a treaty with the Scotland Parliament and support the Solemn League and the Covenant, which authorized the Presbyterian Church governance throughout Britain. Scottish were divided into two forces called the Engagers and the Covenanters. The Covenanters were defeated at the Battle of Dunbar by Oliver Cromwell. Charles escaped from the Covenanters and went north to join the Engagers. This event became known as the Start, but in 2 days the Covenanters captured Charles. Charles was crowned King of Scotland at Scone on January 1st, 1651. Cromwell was threatening Charles' position, so Charles decided to invade England. Charles managed not to get caught by hiding in the Royal Oak at the Boscobel House. Charles has a bounty of £1,000 on him, so he flees to Normandy. Cromwell was appointed Lord Protector of England, Scotland, and Ireland. France and the Dutch Republic had allied themselves with Cromwell in 1654, so Charles turned to Spain. Cromwell died in 1658, and Charles' chances of gaining the crown were slim because Cromwell was succeeded by his son, Richard. Charles was crowned at the Westminster Abbey on April 23, 1661. Charles was the last sovereign to make a traditional procession from the Tower of London to the Westminster Abbey. Shortly after the coronation, the Second English Parliament was assembled. It was nicknamed the Cavalier Parliament because it was dominated by Royalists and Anglicans. The Corruption Act of 1661 required officers to swear allegiance, and the Act of Uniformity made the Anglican Book of Common Prayer compulsory. In 1665, there is a great health crisis known as the Great Plague of London. The end of the Great Plague was marked by the Great Fire of London. On June 23, 1661, a marriage treaty was signed between Charles and Catherine of Braganza. Catherine's dowry secured England the 7 lands of Bombay, trading privileges in Brazil and East Indies, and religious and commercial freedom in Portugal and 2 million Portuguese crowns. The Second Dutch War started in 1665. It was started because the English tried to take Dutch possessions. The Treaty of Breda in 1665 signaled the end of the Second Dutch War. Charles used Lord Clarendon as a scapegoat for the war. In 1668, England allied itself with Sweden and the Netherlands to oppose King Louis. This was called the Triple Alliance. Louis made peace with the Triple Alliance. Under the Treaty of Dover, Louis paid Charles £160,000 a year. In exchange, Charles would supply Louis with troops. In 1672, Charles issued the Royal Declaration of Indulgence, in which he purported to suspend all penal laws against all Catholics and other religious dissenters. Later that year, he openly supported Catholic France and started the Third Anglo-Dutch War. He opposed the Declaration of Indulgence, saying the king had no right to suspend laws by the Parliament. 1678, Titus Oates falsely warned of a popish plot to assassinate the king and accused the queen of complicity. Charles didn't believe him, but he sent Lord Danby to investigate. In 1678, Lord Danby was impeached by the House of Commons with a charge of high treason. Most of the nation sought war with France, but Charles had secretly negotiated with Louis to remain neutral in return for money. To save Lord Danby, Charles dissolved the Parliament in January of 1679. Lord Shaftesbury was charged with treason and fled to Holland. Opposition to the Exclusion Bill angered Protestants. Protestants decided to plan to murder the king and the Duke of York. February 6th of 1985, Charles dies of old age. The end. Thanks for watching.